guys, welcome to another episode of the Planeswalkers Pub. I'm your host, Aaron.
Howdy, it's RJ. Today we are going to be talking about the politics in Commander. But first, let's talk about our signature card.
Yes, every episode of the Planeswalkers Pub will feature a signature card that may or may not relate to the topic at hand.
Today's signature card is Jace Beleren, otherwise known as Party Jace. Jace Beleren is a legendary Planeswalker, Jace, for 1 and 2 blue. He has +2, each player draws a card, -1, target player draws a card, and -10. Target player puts the top 20 cards of their library into their graveyard.
Yeah, so the reason why I decided to choose Party Jace for this is because A, Party Jace, and B, just because we're talking about politics and everything in that sense today, so the best, or one of the fastest political cards most people can think of is Party Jace.
Yeah, either I draw a card because you guys aren't doing what I want, or everyone draws a card.
Exactly. It's kind of one of those, Howling Mine / Temple Bell type effects where it's just like hey, everyone kind of draws a card. Plus, typically when you put down Party Jace, if you +2 him, everyone's drawing a card, no one's really killing him. At least not for 2 or 3 turns type deal. Unless you're running a Planeswalker deck or something like that, since then it's hey, you have to kill him because Planeswalkers are a thing. So let's jump over to our main topic at hand, which is politics in Commander, as well as your play types in it. So the first actual political thing that we're going to be talking about, well, let's actually talk about politics in general for a second. Commander is basically what we actually play as a format. So a lot of people jump into it, they're thinking, oh, it's just Magic, whatever, no one really cares. But the cool thing about Commander is that you can actually talk to your opponents and make kind of deals or strategies.
Yeah, it's a lot more creative, I'm going to say, than other formats, because rather than just, I want to pummel your face into nothingness, you're playing against 3 other people, and you can talk to your opponent and be like, hey, this guy's scary, let's kill him first.
Yeah, it happens a lot for the most part, just because somebody might drop, let's say, an Emrakul or something in that sense, and they're like, hey, I'm going to take, that person's turn or something like that. That's one person targeting another person. The other 2 people then can be like, hey, he's got a 13/13 in the air. We should probably team up for a second and then kill him.
Why does that sound familiar? A 13/13 in the air? I don't know if I've seen one of those before.
I don't know. Emrakul just casually sitting there.
Just
Merit Lodge is also casually chilling.
Yeah, well, she's a 20/20, Merit Lodge.
I just realized Merit Lodge can kill Emrakul because she's also indestructible too, right?
Oh yeah, Merit Lodge is indestructible. Doesn't matter. If she wasn't indestructible, Emrakul is still only a 13/13.
That's true. Let's toss something crazy on him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the first political thing that we're going to be talking about, or at least the first style, is
Republicans.
Yes, totally Republicans. Republican Party, what are they doing currently? So one disclaimer I do want to mention beforehand is the fact that although we're actually saying that these are particular people that we're versing, these particular types, you can be more than one actual political aspect of this entire thing. I know that for the most part, I put myself and RJ on here as one particular thing. He's giving me a face because he's actually reading the script. I put us on there for one particular thing, but depending on how the game goes, depending on what deck we're using, we may or may not switch our strategies around. I also do want to mention that most of the people are actually subscribed, which, by the way, currently we're at 19 subscribers. Thank you so much for that. But most people are actually subscribed that listen to us and everything else. Our friends are in our play group. So although me and RJ...
Hey, Dave!
Although me and RJ are talking about our particular strategies or whatever, don't assume that we're giving away all of our secrets. We're just mentioning things for the episode, but not to the point of losing.
We're not giving away all of your secrets. I don't have secrets. We'll get to how I play in a moment.
All right, so let's talk about the first play style, which I'm classifying as the Wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
For these people, we're actually utilizing the example of Luke. Side note: shut up, what up, Luke?
Shut up, what up?
Shut up, what up? We're using Luke as well as RJ's sister Katie.
Yep, sounds about right.
Typically, the Wallflower play style is kind of sit in the background, don't really do anything too crazy or too scary, and then arbitrarily come out from literal nowhere and just kill everyone.
Yeah. No, I was playing a game the other day with Katie where she had this massive board state and I wasn't even looking at it because I'm so used to her just not doing that much. So I'm like focusing on the guy screwing with my strategy, and then I deck myself because I wasn't paying attention to the fact that Katie had a Platinum Angel, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, it's also the same principle with Luke as well. Like, because he's got his Niv Miz deck or whatever,
Oh,
so he's just kind of drawing cards, and I edited that deck to the point where it's like it's very group huggy, where it's like, hey, you've got Howling Mind, everyone draws a card. You've got I don't think I put Temple Bell in there, but I did put Well of Ideas in there where everyone's drawing 2 cards. Like, so it's a very kind of, oh, he's helping us, so we're just going to ignore him. Plus, the way his deck is more or less like a Spellslinger deck, so there's not really many creatures or anything permanent on the field.
Except for, when he wipes us all out with dragons, like...
Yeah, then
he'll
he'll just drop I'm about to say Arcades. Then he'll just drop Niv Mizzet, and then he's drawing like 20 cards that turn. We're just like, wait, what? Yeah, I'm going to ping that. Actually, there was a game, I think you were in that game, where we just... The other 3 players kind of just wiped each other out to the point where all of our life totals were basically under 10. He just put out Niv Mizzet.
Oh, he was at like 40, we didn't touch him.
Did a very small combo, and we all just died.
Yeah.
Like, that just happens. But that's one of the powerful things about the Wallflower play style for the most parts. The fact that the politics with that, you don't really have to do much. You're not really saying anything. You're just kind of there, occasionally helping with counter spell or something in that sense. Katie does this very well because we know how powerful her deck is. It's got Eldrazi in it. We know how powerful her deck is, but she'll occasionally get mana screwed, or she'll just be like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just over here just creating my servos, dropping my stuff, not really messing with anyone. Like, just kind of doing my own little, like, it's kind of like the sandcastle principle, where, like, you see a kid, like, in the sand just building a sandcastle. You don't really mess with it because you're just like, okay, whatever, just building a sandcastle. Who fucking cares? Next thing you know, he's got, like, a fort and some army and a giant harpoon gun that's now shooting you. You're just like, how did he get to that? It's like, because you ignored him.
Pretty much.
The next thing on the actual political ladder that I'm mentioning is the underdog. For this, we're actually mentioning Luke's brother Liam, as well as Matt's son Anthony. And the reason why I'm mentioning Matt's son Anthony is because A, how's it going? And B, because you remember the game. You know exactly what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking about. So Matt's kid's playing a Relentless Rat deck that his dad made. It's pretty decent deck.
It's a good deck. It's
a very good deck. But we weren't paying attention to him because he's very new to Magic, so he's really not doing that much until we noticed. And the stuff
that he is doing, it's not mattering because I'm playing Amanatu, which means that RJ's playing Lord Windgrace. I think Matt was playing Petitioners at that point.
Yeah, no, because we were trying to play with our best decks, and
he just wanted to play, so we're just like, okay, cool, like, we'll ignore you for the most part, because, like, it's not fair to kind of use our best decks against, like, a deck. It's decent, but
the
Relentless
Rat deck could do some stuff, but we just weren't focusing on him because it's not on the same level as Amanatu.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're kind of figuring, I can just kill you anytime I want, so I'll wait off till the last possible minute. Unfortunately, we all utilize all of our resources on each other because there was a constant counterspell and just like, I'm doing this and you're doing that and he's doing that, and it was a back and forth type deal where we all use all of our resources. All of our life sources were basically like null and void. Mm-hmm. And then he just came out of nowhere, just like, hey, I'm going to play these 5 rats. They all have haste.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Like, just played 5 rat for almost free. Well, not almost free. He basically paid for like 2 or 3 rats.
Yeah.
And then they all had haste. I was already dead, I think. I left Matt open.
Yeah, you were, because you crippled him.
I crippled Matt. I hobbled him. I took out most of his petitioners, so he couldn't even block. I think whenever I play against Aaron, I always focus on him, because unlike, regular Magic friends, who when we play, we help each other, whenever I play a game with Aaron, I want to bury him in the ground.
Which is totally fine, and we're definitely going to mention that after this. But I do also want to shout out Liam as well, even though I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going? Just because he has this Cat Voltron deck.
Oh, yeah.
Where, side note, by the way, Underdog, in my opinion, is different from the Wallflower because the Underdog actually is willingly trying to get your attention and trying to kind of win. It's just the fact that they're the ones kind of fighting uphill battle from the gate.
Yeah. It's more so that they're perceived as the newbie. You don't think they're going to do that well, so you don't focus on them. And
exactly.
It's a political tactic. It's not even a tactic. It's just something that comes naturally to new players, and eventually you work out of the Underdog, and then you switch to one of the other ones that we'll come up with.
Yeah. But one cool thing about the Underdog versus, the Wallflower is the fact that the Underdog they know that they're not really the threat, but they'll still try to, put in a lot more effort than the Wallflower, I feel like, because they're like, Liam is really good at one thing, is just like attacking. Like he likes to actually put on a bunch of equipment onto an actual commander, Kemba. He likes to swing in and just do like a bunch of damage.
Oh yeah, you can't political him out of swinging at you. Like as if you have an open board state, he is punching your face in. He beat my Lord Windgrace with Kemba in a 4-player free for all.
Yeah,
it was the one girl was playing Atraxa, didn't do anything. Guy sitting next to me was playing Rakdos Chaos, and he was playing Kemba. I had an open board state because Windgrace doesn't really
put down creatures like that.
Yeah, he just pops off out of nowhere, and so he just swung into me and took me down because he had Quietus Spike and just took my life total in half 3 times in a row.
Yeah, Q Spike will do that. Q Spike will definitely do that. But it's also really cool because like that's his playstyle where I'm gonna keep fighting regardless of the situation. Which is kind of nice, actually. He rarely ever scoops it up or anything in that sense. I mean, unless it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we're all blatantly dead, you might as well this way we can get another game going.
Yeah, it's just the only time, one thing that I kind of agree with that I've learned, the only time you should scoop is when no one can do anything and you just want to move on to another game.
Yeah, that's the one of those situations where, like, if you know 100%, hey, this is a lost fight, there is no coming back from this, because even when you're saying, like, oh, I'm versus, like, because you weren't there with the Natalie game. But Natalie actually popped off, and she was using Slimefoot, and she managed to get 235 Saprolings on the field.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was dumb. Like, she was actually getting a little stressed out a little bit because she was like, I can't do this math, the calculating and stuff. I was like, I got you. Like, believe me, I know me some triggers.
She didn't have an altar on the field?
Well, she was creating more than she could possibly. She was creating more to the point where. It was just the triggers. Like, one thing was triggering to another, triggering to another, triggering to another. And she was getting confused with it. I'm just like, hey, I run 2 token decks. I love me some triggers.
Yeah.
I got you on the math.
The way I play, I forget all my triggers. That's why I play with good old Aaron here, because he remembers all my triggers for me. You gotta have that guy.
Yeah, and there's probably an episode in the works. I'm not entirely sure how I want to word it or anything else. Or just kind of remembering all of your triggers and how I do it, just because I feel like I'm a slight narcissist in that sense.
Squirrels.
But, yes.
I'm triggered by squirrels.
Everyone's triggered by squirrels.
I
actually killed Luke and his friend with the squirrels. Oh, God, it was hilarious.
Oh, you're horrible.
I got out deep floors or whatever. I was playing almost with. I got out deep floors and just swung with, like, my 13 squirrels, like, 3 times.
That's rude.
It was great.
That's rude. I want to try and build a real toxic deck. I think I'm built.
Mono blue?
No. Grand
Arbiter?
Yeah, Grand Arbiter.
Just like a tax deck?
Oh yeah, tax stacks.
How would you do stacks? So the next thing that we're actually going to talk about is now. It is technically RJ. Now, once again, I'm actually using these people's names after accents just because this is the typical strategy that they inadvertently fall to. Obviously, like, you can switch around between, like, the underdog and the wallflower, stuff in that sense.
I want to say it.
As well as RJ's thing.
Now, this is the first I'm seeing this. Aaron, he writes a base script that we go off of, and we kind of, I don't want to say ad-lib, but we make some stuff up as we go along.
Basically.
It's how it sounds so natural. But he wrote down the suicide bomber. Because when I play, even though I like winning, my decks don't tend to win very quickly. So if I'm at a strong board state, I don't do much. So I'd rather just go balls to the wall and lose my mind. So, like, the other day, playing Story Time, my bad, I was playing Soldiers. The guy across from me was playing Karametra. Aaron was playing I Don't Care. From across from me, still don't know.
It was Muldrotha.
Oh, you're playing Muldrotha.
I didn't realize you were going to this story, because I was going to bring up the story, too.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm bringing up this story.
Fantastic.
It's my turn. I have my commander on the field, who is Darien, King of Keldor. He is, whenever I'm dealt damage, I create that many 1/1 soldiers. And I had Souls Warden on the field. And I told the Karametra player, like, I know you can deal a lot of damage. I will let you hit me to buff up your creatures if you just hit me.
Yeah, but don't kill me. And he had 37 life. I remember
37 life.
It was very important.
He had
37 life.
He was dealing 36 damage.
Well, originally he was only dealing like 15 or some asses. He was like, hey, how big do you want to go with this? Because I can get them all double strike. And RJ's just like, you know what?
Do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. I don't care.
So we did the math.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, this is going to be 36 damage. So RJ's just like, okay, I'll go down to 1, which means I'll go up to, like, 1 billion.
Well, no, I'll just go back up to 37.
Yeah, to what you were.
I'll go back, I'll gain the life immediately back, and I'll create 36 soldiers. However, I did not look at Aaron. See, I didn't even know what deck he was playing. I wasn't looking at Aaron in this game until he sacked a Shambling Shell and made one of his creatures 1 more damage, which just so happened to kill me.
As he attacked, he was like, "Okay, cool. I'll just take damage." I'm like, all right. So after declaring no blocks, sack the Shambling Cell to give one of the Karametra's players just a +1/+1 counter. He dies. The downside with Soul's Attendant, and that's kind of the way that Life Gain versus Life Link works, is the fact that with Life Link, let's take a 1/1 Life Link Soldier, for instance. Let's say you're at 1 life or something like that, since whatever. They've got 2/2 with trample. You block with your 1/1. They attack with a 2/2. Damage is dealt simultaneously.
Yeah.
Because you're the person being attacked, you actually get to choose how you want that to resolve, which is a weird thing to do. So basically what you're saying is the fact that you're just like, okay, well, I'm going to block with this 1/1. Officially, I'm going to take the 1 damage with trample and then die. But I'm going to say that the lifelink happens first, so that I actually gain that 1 life, and then I lose that 1 life, so I'm technically still at 1 life. It's a weird kind of mechanic that not a lot of people work with, versus the soul aspect of it. You have to live in order to actually gain that life from those creatures showing up.
Yeah.
Because the creatures don't show up until after you've taken the damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, officially, I could have let it go through and everything else, but I mean, giving my opponents 36 creatures...
you made the right choice. You made the right choice, but then again, I am the suicide bomber.
Exactly.
I let everything hit me and call it a day. Because at the end of the day, whether I win or lose, if it was a fun game, it's a fun game. And those plays that I make that are stupid make fun games.
Exactly. I also put Suicide Bomber on here just because you tend to... other people call the Mad Dog or the Junkyard Dog philosophy, where you kind of just latch on to one person and just keep attacking them until they're dead, or at the very least keep attacking them until they basically just stop being a threat in your eyes. It's no surprise to anyone that's actually played with us. Archer does target me first.
Oh, yeah. Because Aaron's decks are terrifying. I hate playing against them because they scare me.
It's not even that. It's just, my decks are a little bit terrifying. I came from a meta where I actually didn't have the strongest decks at the time, or anything in that sense or whatever. A lot of people actually had a lot more cards than me and stuff like that sense. So I tend to build stronger. Plus, the way that you learn and play Magic and everything in that sense, you're naturally going to get better just by playing more games. So I figured, okay, well, let's put this card in there because I'll do this, that'll fit this card in there, that'll do that. My natural play style and the way I build decks is a very toolboxy situation where whatever's going on in the field, I've got an answer for it in my deck. I just need to find it.
Oh, yeah, no, Amanatu's a jerk because of this.
Yeah.
You can't do anything against Amanatu. He has an answer for literally everything.
Except for milling. I need to get an Emrakul.
Not Emrakul. It's
the Ulamog.
Ulamog. I think it's Ceaseless Hunger is the one that it's the anti-graveyard hate.
Yeah, so I need to get the Ulamog or the Kozilek. Milling out Amanatu is really the only way of beating her without commanders or anything janky or something.
Or me strip mining all of your lands.
Well, yeah, but that's gonna beat any deck, so it doesn't even matter.
Did we say Ceaseless Hunger or Infinite Gyre was the one we're looking for?
I know it's one of the Ulamogs. I can tell you that much.
I think it might be the cheaper one. Ceaseless Hunger is the one that whenever you cast it, you mill someone for 20.
Oh wow. No, it's whenever it attacks, you mill someone.
Yeah, whenever it attacks, you deal someone. Okay.
That one I have.
Infinite Gyre Ulamog, which is actually the cheaper one. Infinite Gyre is the anti-graveyard hate.
It's the cheaper one, Jesus.
It's the cheaper one.
That's right. I got the more expensive one because I was going to put it inside my Voltron deck.
I don't get the Eldrazi and the Voltron. I mean, honestly,
because
they win you games. I get it, but it's annoying as hell.
It's a 10-10. You give it Menace, you give it Double Strike, you give it a sword of Body and Mind or something like that or whatever, and believe me, because you give it the sword of Body and Mind, they're milling 20. Once on the attack, and then once on the actual connection. Yeah. It's nutty.
I need Planeswalker hate. I know it sounds weird, but for my deck, the Lord Windgrace, the biggest issue is facing off against Amanatu. Yeah. Because Amanatu just answers everything I do, and he tutors for a Planeswalker that just mills me and exiles my graveyard, prevents me from playing.
Well, because being a Lord Windgrace deck, cool, get Ashiok. If I'm versing someone that has a bunch of creatures, cool, go grab, I actually took out Crawl Space, go grab Sphere of Safety or a bunch of other kind of just stacksy stuff this way they can only attack with 1 or 2 creatures at a turn. If I'm versing a Pinger deck or whatever, go grab the Wanderer, this way that doesn't ping me.
There is a Kozilek that does the same thing. I didn't realize that. I thought there was only the one Eldrazi that did that.
Nope. Kozilek, Ulamog both do the same thing or whatever, and then Emrakul is Emrakul. The next thing on the actual political list is going to be the Con Man. This one's actually my archetype for the most part.
He just wants to make himself sound cool.
I do, but it's also, I'm putting a humongous target on myself just by saying it.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, anybody listening who plays with me and Aaron, aim for Aaron.
I mean, he's not wrong. So here's the thing. The Con Man kind of archetype for the most part, or at least the political version of it that I want to say is similar to how my decks kind of build a toolbox where I can basically go grab whatever answer I need at the time. Or at least I have an answer somewhere. The Con Man persona is something that I'll turn into whatever I need to, depending on the game and depending on who I'm with.
Oh, I could point out every time that Aaron does this. I know when he does this because he starts to really like hammer home something that seems like it's useless. Like, don't ping my one creature, do it to this person. They have a bigger board state or they have a higher chance of doing something. Because there is something that he needs to do with that one useless thing.
Yeah.
And he knows it. People believe him. I don't get it. Because I see him doing this, and I see right through his face, just, he's plotting something, and no one believes me. I'm the man on the sidewalk with the sign, the end is nigh, the end is nigh.
I mean, that's the thing. He's not wrong. And that's one cool reason why I like actually playing against RJ is because I can't really trick him or anything in that sense. I can't really, fool him and pull the wool over his eyes. Like, unless there's a legitimate threat, like, hey, your sister got a Platinum Angel. She's tutoring for Lightning Greaves. We need to deal with that. Like, that's the only time I feel like he'll actually team up and be like, okay, yeah, we need to do something with that. The Con Man archetype, for the most part, is one of those things where if I need to be, someone's friend or whatever, I might, not attack them and kind of remind them, hey, I didn't attack you. Or, you can kind of be, one way or another. It's also, politics in general kind of starts at the beginning of the game. Like, before you shuffle up or anything else, before you even sit down, truth be told. As you're sitting down, where you're kind of glancing around, so what's everyone's deck's doing, stuff in that sense or whatever.
When you pick your deck, you compare to what your opponent's playing. Like, he won't play Lord Windgrace unless he's playing Aminatou, because he knows Lord Windgrace is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the strongest deck that he owns, and as a courtesy to him and myself, truth be told, I pull out Aminatou as a strong deck I own. Whenever I pull out Aminatou, I go into this weird cadence where, the Con Man kind of disappears, and, the Judge, Jury, and Executioner just shows up, and it's just like, cool, I'm just going to combo off for a second, and you all die.
Because the first thing that he'll do is he'll try to either go for Ashiok to destroy my graveyard, or go for Felidar Guardian, so he can continuously bounce stuff and mill me to death.
Felidar Guardian, Altar of the Broods, Aminatou, simple little bounce combo where you can just mill someone out completely. You can also technically do it with Felidar Guardian and the new Spark Double, because Spark Double will come in as Felidar Guardian, which because he came in, bounces the Felidar Guardian, comes back in, bounces the Spark, and then you're all dead.
I saw a weird combo with Spark Double and Spark Double. If you have some way for a creature to enter the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, you can make infinitely powerful Spark Doubles. Because the one Spark Double comes in as a copy of the other Spark Double, which comes into the battlefield as a copy.
+1/+1 counter on it, then so it is definitely infinite, but it's a very small, 1 hop, 2 hop, 3 hop type deal. It's
but
not really
you immediately bring them from 0 to a million,
basically.
and then you just sack them to Altar of Dementia and mill your opponent completely, or sack it to some other thing and deal a lot of damage. Because I'm sure there's something out there that says sack a creature equal
to its power or whatever, you deal damage, some of that sense.
There's actually one that I was told to get for Lord Windgrace, which is whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to target player or permanent.
Not saying I'm not to be trusted, but it's one of those things that
He's not to be trusted.
I like to twist kind of how the game flows, and it's not all the time that it's 100% in my favor. Most of the time it's usually in my favor, but it's also one of those things where I should also explain a rule. Isn't necessarily probably going to be a pub rule, but let's just say it's a pub rule, why not? Pub rule number 44. No one will believe your lie unless you do. That basically means...
Life rule.
Yeah, that is basically a life rule for the most part. The best liars in the entire world, they believe their own lies to some extent, because at that point, if you believe it, then someone else, you deliver it a lot more believably. I'll be like, hey Luke, you've got this trigger, you've got that trigger, whatever, you should ping this, you should ping that, and he'll be like, yeah, I guess you're right, I should probably ping this, so I probably ping that. Except he is actually learning, which I'm super happy about. I'm so happy about it, because I think I either did something or he just realizes wait, no, Aaron's a threat, hang on. He just started pinging me down Like, it got really bad. I was getting really scared because I was like, I don't think I can convince him out of this, can I? Like, he hit me for like 12 just because. I'm just like, dude, you're killing me. Like, I love it, but you're killing me. So, kudos to you, mate. It was just really good. That being said, I am to be trusted sometimes because I focus on the game 100% of the time. Most people, they'll pull out their phones, or they're like, they'll look around, or they'll like, what am I eating for breakfast? Or, man, this game really isn't going the way I want it to. Like, I don't know, maybe what deck am I playing next? Something like that, whatever. That's kind of how I remember all my triggers, and everyone else's for that matter, because I'm always focusing on the game, and I'm always plotting at least 7 turns ahead. If I guarantee if you start plotting 7 turns ahead, you'll be easier to remember triggers too because you've already thought about them a million times over. The con man is a very hard strategy to utilize because you need to be less threatening until you become the humongous threats and then be able to defend yourself to the point afterwards. Moljotha is a perfect example. Once you sit down at the table, whatever, and you see, oh, he's playing Moljotha, Luke already knows I just need to target you 100% because that deck is too powerful. I can't deal with it. And Drew Patel Moljotha is extremely powerful. That's why I didn't want to build it.
I mean, Moldrotha just gets shut down by Lord Winggrace because I'll just tutor for Bajuka Bog and recur it every turn.
That's true.
And then who needs a graveyard? Or who needs anything when you can just exile his graveyard?
Also true. But it's also one of those things where
it's also toxic. That's why I don't like playing Lord Windgrace. Like, I love him. Like, don't get me wrong. He was my first commander deck ever. That's why he's my best. Because I've been upgrading him for the past year.
Throwing money into it.
Oh yeah. Just pouring my paycheck. My poor wallet. But I don't like playing Lord Windgrace because a lot of the only win cons right now are just so toxic.
I mean, that's just kind of how it works. Like, Amanatu is the same principle. I didn't have Alter and Feldar Guardian. And a lot of the win cons that I have in her now, Torment of Hailfire, those weren't in the deck when I was in Delaware because it was just kind of I'm playing this as a, hey, fun little, I like Planeswalkers, I'm playing this. It wasn't until I moved up here.
I'm curious whose deck is cost more. I'm willing to bet yours.
Definitely
Planeswalkers are expensive.
Like, you've got fetch lands, but that's like, what? 4 or 5 fetch lands in there, maybe?
3 fetch lands, but it's not just the lands. There's also some enchantments and creatures and crazy. The deck costs some money. I might put a Vidakanori back in Windgrace.
You've got a lot of stuff that you want to kind of cheat out and fast anyway, so I guess it works out. Can't use it on lands, though, so that's the only downside.
Yeah, that's why I took it out in the first place, because the lands don't really get affected by it. But I have more creatures and other spells that let me move lands around, so...
There's also probably new stuff in the M20 sets, which, by the way, so we actually would to, this is technically a spoiler, I guess. We are going to be talking about the M20 sets a little bit more once everything's kind of come out and everything in that sense, or at the very least a little bit closer.
We'll probably cop out and do another video on a set review.
Basically. But I do want to talk about this one quick card just because it deals with politics, quite a lot, actually. It is...
Scheming Symmetry. It is a sorcery for 1 black. It says, choose 2 target players. Each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. 1 for you, 1 for me. What could be more fair? Kethis, the Hidden Hand.
So for starters, I want to know who the hell Kethis is. Yeah. And it's also one of those things that we talk about politics, just basically a small thing where you want to always help out. You occasionally help out your opponent, or occasionally your goals will align. Like, hey, player A and player B are grouping up in order to take out player C because he's popping off or doing something crazy, and player D just stay out of our way. In
Windgrace, the biggest issue right now is dealing with Planeswalkers. I don't have anything to do with Planeswalkers. My opponent, hey, wait a minute, don't you have a Hero's Downfall in that deck? Oh yeah, here, I'm going to cast this. You need to look for Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
Please. Like, I want you to get Hero's Downfall because we both know that Planeswalker needs to die.
Yeah.
So I cast this. We both look for our respective cards. Could he screw me? Probably not.
Exactly.
If it's perceived as that big of a threat.
Yeah. It's also one of those things I do want to mention, the fact that this is a sorcery, so it's a very high probability that you're not going to be able to cheat this out unless you have a Vidakanori or something else that gives you kind of flash.
You need to draw a card and cast it, or you need to either cast it at instant speed, or you need to somehow draw a card and still be able to cast it on your turn.
It's one of those things, too, where, because it goes on top of your library, you do inadvertently give your opponent the first opportunity to utilize his ability. But I feel like Tossing Amanatu, for instance, I'm not sure who I would actually target in that instance. But like, I could target myself, target like someone else.
You can
That's
target
not...
the Karametra player. I mean,
Yeah, I
he's
guess.
ridiculous, but
He'll probably be playing Prosh at that point, so I don't know if I would target Prosh.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't target Prosh.
I might target I might target RJ or whatever, provided he doesn't go get strip mine or anything stupid.
He says strip mine, but strip mine, I'm forcing Lord Windgrace to not use strip mine anymore because I really hate winning games with strip mine.
Well, here's the thing. Strip mine's a fine card to utilize.
It doesn't win games. It makes my opponents concede.
Yeah, that's kind of how that works.
In my mind, that doesn't count as a win. If my opponents concede because I have some massive scary board state, cool. If my opponents concede because they can't do anything, then what's the point?
Yeah. It's like, cool, I can no longer play.
It's not a win.
I do have that one land, I don't remember the name of it, it's on screen right now, in my Madrotha deck, which basically just destroys non-basic lands.
Tectonic Rift, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right, or...
I think it's Tectonic Edge.
Tectonic Edge.
It's a simple land for the most part. Taps for a colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it to sack it, and then destroy target non-basic land. And the cool thing is the fact that, yes, you're hurting your opponent by destroying their land. Yes, they're going to get angry at you about that. But the thing is, you're still leaving their basics alone. You're only getting, their dual lands, the ones that tap for 2.
You could just run a Ghost Quarter, and then they wouldn't be that bitter with you because they get to look for a land, so they won't be down a land.
Yeah, but that's ramping them.
You're not ramping. They're not ramping. They're going to be exactly where they were a minute ago, unless you destroy their Maze of Ith. Like, literally every other land is get rid of their Urborg. Yeah, they're going to be pissed, but hey, they can get a swamp, and they can get that black mana if they need.
I don't like giving my opponent any advantage that I...
That's no advantage. Most of the time, you're putting them down a peg, but if you completely get rid of their land, they're going to hate you for the rest of the game.
No one likes land destruction. I mean, here's the thing, and the cool / annoying thing about Madrotha is the fact of, I take out your land, some assets, you're just like, you know what? I'm Vendetta, I'm going to just kill you or some assets. I'm like, cool. If you try, I will just get it back and strip mine you again. That's the thing that Madrotha kind of happens, and that's the thing about the con man persona, the fact of I can become, the enforcer if I need to, where it's like, hey, I'm taking this out, your, Cabal Coffers or whatever. It's dangerous. I'm taking this out as a helping mate and helping the rest of the table. If you want to make, a blood feud about it, I'll destroy all of your lands, but I don't want to. That's the type of way that I play, where it's like, I'm taking something from you as a punishment because you're either ahead or you're going to go nuclear or something in that sense.
Madrotha, judge, jury, and executioner.
Legit. She tries to keep everything fair and balanced, and then she ramps to hell.
It's another story time. Aaron's been really trying not to buy Vidalcan Orrery, and...
Because I don't need it. That's... Vidalcan Orrery is on screen right now. It's a 4-mana artifact, if I'm right. It basically says that non-land cards you control can be cast at instant speed, which basically means that basically everything inside your hand outside of a land has flash.
Yeah.
Typically, you would just kind of play the Vidalcan Orrery and then just say go, if you're not really doing anything or anything in that sense, because you can just cast stuff at your opponent's end step or whenever for the most part. The reason why I didn't buy it was because the exact same reason, the problem that's happening right now. I don't know what deck to put it in.
It's weird because it changes up how you play a game.
Exactly. I'm definitely a control style player, hence why I play blue. I'm definitely more of a control style player, but control in the sense of...
I give my control to the Lords of Chaos as I ram headfirst into my opponents.
Yes, you do. Praying to God the fact that you're not going to get hurt even more.
I need to build a Ural's, Mist Walker deck, because I want a Battering Ram deck. I want a Voltron Battering Ram.
What, the guy that is enchantments or whatever?
Yeah, the Aura guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hexproof Aura. He's good. He can deal a lot of damage really quick.
Yeah, that's true. Well, then why don't you just do, Bruno or something?
No, because he's 3 colors, and he's not blue.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
you forget.
He's 3 colors, and he's not blue.
He's not blue. He's Naya. He's a color combination I enjoy.
But yeah,
there's probably a whole group of people out there who will never watch this podcast specifically for the fact that I hate blue.
Totally fine, because I love me some blue.
I know. We have guys. You get 50% of the podcast. Look, we still love you.
It's just one of those things that I can't. And I love blue to the point where I can build a mono blue deck, but I know that the way that I build things, if I build a mono blue deck, it's not going to be fun.
It's going to be horrible,
it's
toxic, and we're going to hate each other.
You're talking every single counterspell, every single possible thing, and it's a stupid little infinite combo that has nothing to do with,
want to build a deck with no way of winning, no win con, except just all counterspells. That's what he's saying.
Actually, the math on this, officially, the most counterspells anyone needs in a deck ever is 12.
99.
No, it's 12. The reason why is because you want to have counter spells that counter the bigger stuff, which doesn't usually happen until about turn like 6 or 5 or 6-ish, unless you're versing a competitive deck.
My bad. 100 counter spells.
And
you want
also
to cheat a commander. You want to have a commander that is a counter spell.
There is one.
Yeah, I know. It's probably a legendary creature that you sack at counter target spell.
No. It's a legendary creature. She's on screen right now. I love her to death. She's awesome. If I'm going to build the counter spell deck, it's going to be with her. I think she's like a 1 in the blue or something like that. So she's from. She's the same flip person like your
Oh,
yeah,
ew.
Yeah. When she flips over,
no.
yeah, when she flips over, you counter the first spell your opponent's cast each turn.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah,
I saw it and it made me cringe.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I saw it and I was like, this.
I muted the mic for a second so I could cry.
Yeah, no, this. Like I said, if I'm building a mono blue deck, it has to be with her. It just has to be.
What's her thing for flipping? Do you know? What's her requirements?
Someone needs to play 4 spells a turn.
Jesus.
So it's
gonna be you.
Simple.
It's gonna be May. I'm gonna play a counter spell, countering my counter spell, countering my counter spell.
You don't even need to do that either. Just have her on the field, or whatever. Someone just
cast 2 spells.
I have her on the
field. Storm.
Yeah, someone has they're just like, okay, well I'm going Swords of Plowshare. Cool, I'm going to counter that. Okay, well then I'm going to I'm going to Arcane Denial that, and then hold priority. I'm going to twin cast to copy the Arcane Denial, countering the twin cast. Or
and
even still
immediately.
Not that, but that's 2 spells right there. Then they play their turn, which is like another 2 spells. Boom, she flips. At that point, she's a legendary enchantment. What you gonna do? Your first spell is turn is being countered anyway, and anything else, I can just be like, cool. I'm just gonna decide what lives and what dies. I don't really care. Like, oh yeah, propaganda is tossing it. Oh god, it's gonna be great.
Hell.
It's gonna be great. But I'm never building it.
Yeah, no. I
never building it.
I
enjoy the friends that I like. So.
I will never build Group Hug Ur Dragon. Because we both know that's never going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. Group Hug Ur Dragon, you're just building... It's a Group Hug deck that you're just switching out the commander for Ur Dragon. Like, that's literally it. Like,
yeah.
I don't think it's going to work, but, whatever. The last actual politician, for the most part, or political style, is the pro player.
Stainsbury!
For those of you who don't know who Stainsbury is, we're referring to our other friend, Luke, which is awesome because I don't have to actually change my phone when I'm doing the life counters. But anyway, our other friend, Luke, who actually plays the zombie tribal deck.
Lich Queen something.
Yeah, it's the new one that came in the Amanatu deck, which is weird.
The Amanatu Precon was weird. They didn't. It's not a succinct deck. It's like 3 decks. They took 3 bits out of it and put them together.
It works though. Like out of all of them, in order, Winggrace is definitely the strongest. Mm-hmm. Then Amanatu, then quickly followed up by Saheeli.
Well, that's just because nobody had answers for lands.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
They didn't reprint a strip mine in any of the other ones. They didn't reprint it.
Doesn't matter. Winggrace Precon, it ramps to hell and back. Like, super fast. Like it doesn't take very much to upgrade that deck for a land. It really doesn't. You're taking out like maybe 20 cards and putting in like 20 more lands. That's about like it's dumb. But so the pro player for the most part, although we're using Luke as this, I classify myself as a pro player a little bit depending on what deck I'm playing. RJ classifies himself depending on what deck.
I'm not a pro player, and in any sense of the word.
And I feel like it depends.
Maybe I just don't like the idea of a hierarchy, but I don't play pro. I don't play well. Like,
the archetype of the pro player is one of those things that
you don't politic. It's not. I don't know. I feel like it's not that fun of a way to play. You don't politic at all. You just kind of, or as much.
You focus a lot heavier on. It's kind of like the reverse of the Wallflower, where, as opposed to the Wallflower, just like I want to be part of the group, but I don't really know how to get in because they're doing a lot of random crazy stuff. I'm just trying to sit back and do my own thing. The pro player is the threat 90% of the time and usually win about 75% of the time.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they get off to either a fast start or even a consistent start with everyone else, but they just have more value than everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Luke's zombie deck is amazing, and it's even better because I actually traded him for Blue Collar Gissa. Mistakes were made. Don't worry.
What did you? So wait a minute. You were bitter because I wanted to give what's the name?
The crazy chick that suitors for any land.
No, not that. Not Realm Seekers. I'm talking about giving the Gitrog player who also has a feather deck, the feather guy, giving the feather guy a stave off. You were bitter about that.
Because that's feather. Feather's dangerous.
Feather. And Luke's deck where he can just get unlimited zombies isn't?
His deck is dangerous, but that's just one creature you can just kill. Feather, you don't power up a feather deck any more than you need
giving
to.
Feather protection from anything is kind of
Like,
not
you
great.
don't,
but
no. But yeah, no. So the pro player for the most part, and everyone kind of goes into this cadence or whatever eventually where, like, you know, like, hey, my combo pieces are all on board. I'm just going to do my thing. Niv Mizzet Luke does the same principle too. Like, what he's
I did say that. I do that occasionally.
yeah, you know, like everyone, like you do that, like especially when you have like a bunch of soldiers, like you know, all your pieces are kind of online.
Oh no, it's not even the soldier deck. Talking about Windgrace, I swing at you with my one, or I go to swing with you at you with my Ink Moth Nexus.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you can't attack. It doesn't have haste. Yes, it does, and it's a 10/10.
Oh yeah, right. Because
Awakening of Vitugazi.
yeah, it's Inkball Nexus swing, like you know, just like it's a haste, right? He's like, yep, cool, I'm dead. Like
haste,
it's,
flying, infect. It's a 10/10.
Yeah.
It's just you're dead.
It's like, hey, congratulations, you're dead. The pro player is a classification where they stay in that cadence from the beginning of the game to the end.
Yeah.
Depending on kind of what deck I'm playing or anything in that sense, I'll eventually go into that. But that's part of the command portion where like I can. The command is like the jack of all trades of all these trades where I can become whatever I need to. Like, you know, I'll become the wallflower from being mana screws in that sense. I'll become the underdog if it's just like, I don't know how you're going to win this, man.
All right, Mary Sue, we hear you.
Pro players are dangerous just because they know basically their entire combo. They know their entire deck 100%.
Yeah, no, it's Luke's one of those guys who picks up a game and gets really good at it really fast. I got Luke into Magic maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I've been playing
4 or 5 months.
He's only been playing about 5 months.
Jesus Christ.
It's because he got in with the group that runs the store.
Oh, yeah.
So he has basically this unlimited trade pool
Which is another reason why I actually wanted to just kind of go into politics when it comes to your meta as well.
Oh, yeah.
The meta actually is justified as the play group that you're playing with. Occasionally, like, we actually go to a card shop. So we'll actually typically, like, you know, run into new people sometimes. But most of the time, we actually play with, like, you know, a bunch of friends that we've actually made along the way, so for that sense. The group that you're actually playing with all the time, you'll eventually learn each other's quirks. You'll eventually learn each other's, like, you know, ticks or something like that. Like, you know, like, I know, like, Luke potentially has a counter spell, like, you know, if he's got, like, this weird, just, like, kind of grin on his face. And it's like, it's cute. And it's like,
oh, yeah. He's
like, yeah, right? Like,
I wish we were recording my face, because I could mimic it right now, just like the kind of little smirk.
It's like this little kind of smirk. And it's awesome. It's like, you know, like, I enjoy seeing that because, you know, I remember the first time I actually had a counter spell. I'm just like, ha, like, you know, like, you feel safe.
I feel toxic when I have a counter spell in hand. Like,
yeah,
Ur Dragon we're going to work on together because it's just so toxic right now. Because all it is a bunch of scary dragons and then 9 counter spells.
Well, it's because it's being piloted by someone who doesn't use counter spells. So you're extremely excited. Like, I can just do anything. I'm not
excited about the counter spells. I just played one game with Ur Dragon without counter spells and was miserable. So I couldn't do anything. So technically, if your playgroup says you can use wish cards, you play Mycosynth Lattice from your deck, and then you wish for a card that's not in your commander's color identity.
You can't. Wish cards work where it's confusing. For starters, wish cards are technically
they're illegal in Commander. They're not. That's the thing, though. Is it's up to your playgroup because technically there's no sideboard in Commander.
Yeah.
So the wish cards don't do anything.
Exactly. Wish cards typically go like even though they say, you know, grab a card like outside the game, whatever, they refer to that as your sideboard.
Yeah.
Which works in Standard and a bunch of other formats.
Modern.
Not so much Commander.
Yeah. Vintage.
Exactly. Legacy. Not so much Commander, just because we don't technically have a sideboard because we've got 100 freaking cards. We don't need a sideboard.
Yeah. No, your deck is made to play with itself.
Yeah.
You're not taking stuff out to answer something.
Yeah.
Your deck should already have the answers.
Plus, Commander was designed as a casual format from the gates.
Yeah.
The fact that there's like, you know, competitive EDH or whatever is a way of saying like, you know, hey, it's basically like rank mode in any like first person shooter or Overwatch or something like that. Just where it's like, hey,
there are some people who are better than others.
Yeah, this game's supposed to be fun, but if you want to test to see how good you are, here you go.
Yeah.
Wish cards are the same principle, where your playgroup has to agree to it. Now, when I say your playgroup, I mean like all 3 or 5 or however many people you're playing with have to all simultaneously.
8, like the one game I played.
I told you, I actually played a 15-player game.
Yeah, Lord. So you were playing for 3 days straight. The person won on turn 3 because they were playing Emissary of Trest and just took infinite extra turns.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's my game.
Yeah, it was not great.
Don't play illegal decks. If someone's playing a commander that's illegal, don't play it. It's not fun. There's a reason why it's illegal.
Not even that, but it's one of those things where like, if you've got more than, let's say, like, because even in Delaware there was a max of like 6 7 of us, including me. I feel like that's the biggest game you want to have, because at that point the board stake is way too freaking crazy.
Oh yeah, no, you're basically playing with the people sitting next to you.
Yeah,
and then everyone else, you don't know what's going on.
It becomes Russian roulette very quickly, because you're just like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to cast this into the ether as you glance around, like, is there anything that's going to destroy this, or ding this, or ping this, or don't do it.
No.
But wish cards, for the most part, rely on your entire player group saying, hey, yes, that's fine, and then more importantly, them actually seeing what your sideboard is. Like, I typically say no to all wish cards just because, A, I can't run them, and B, your deck should be able to answer whatever threat is currently you're dealing with.
Yeah.
If it can't, then that's kind of on you to either try to fix it,
build your deck better,
or figure it out, or more importantly, politic.
Yeah, no, wish cards are a little too
broken.
Yeah, they're too broken. They're too evergreen.
Yeah, where it's like you can possibly get whatever
pull
you need.
anything, literally anything.
Yeah. Now,
any answer you need, you can pull for.
If you are running a wish cards, or you're running into wish cards from an essence, whatever, the person that is doing the wish card can only grab a card that is in their commander's color identity. So, for instance,
I don't think that's true, because, like I said, wish cards aren't legal in Commander
they're
at
not,
all.
But it's one of those things that if you're going to do it that way, you still, because you have to be able to legally cast it without Chromatic Lance or anything crazy like that. One other thing to mention about the actual meta and the play group in general is the fact that you'll actually learn your play group. You'll actually learn that there's some people with that, and because of that, your actual opinion and politicking abilities will change. One thing I kind of like to do for the most part, and I feel like this is kind of with everyone, keep your promises that you make to people. Like, if you're saying, hey, I'm not going to kill that, but don't attack me, they're like, yeah, sure, buddy, no problem. Then they attack you the next turn. Like, I'm not ever going to make a deal with you ever again, because...
Yeah, no, it ruins the fun of Commander.
It ruins the fun of just games in general. Like, I come from a family where we actually like to play Monopoly a lot. Like, I enjoy Monopoly because my dad enjoyed Monopoly. And it's one of those things that you make deals with that type of game where a lot of it goes outside the game, where it's like, hey, can I not pay this property and I'll make you some popcorn real quick?
Yeah, like, I'll buy you a beer. Astronaut's Coupon, card that I wish was legal in Commander.
Yeah, it's
just pay 3 mana, tap it, sack it. Target player has to buy you a drink.
Yeah,
except they errated it to where you have to pay for the drink.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just so you don't be a jerk and pay for your own drink, so you can, just because you're playing a game of Magic.
Exactly. It's one of those things too where careful how you're actually lying, but also try to see if you can actually get out of your promises without fully breaking them.
I mean, yeah, there's ways to go around them. Like, hey, I know I promised this, but when I was playing the game with Pope, he was playing Nikya of the Old Ways, and I'm like, I won't destroy your creature, or I won't. He said, don't attack my dudes. I'm like, I won't kill your dudes. I destroyed one of his lands. Technically not part of our agreement. Still hated me for it.
Yeah, but it's also the same principle. Like, I think you actually were in that game. We were playing the guy that has a Patra, the snake guy.
Oh, I haven't played with him in months.
That's just I haven't seen him in months.
Yeah, true.
We were playing against him, and
you'd think like I'm pretty sure he's in high school. Like, you'd think at this time of the year the high school kids would be at the shop more. Like,
but it's also one of those things that we were playing with him, for instance, and I was playing an old version of Aminatou who actually was able to create just 75 angels all at once.
See, I remember the first time I played Aminatou, you're like, oh, I cast this, I make 40 angels, I win. I'm like, I can handle 40 angels. Like, what do you think you're doing? Like, you're giving... I get a turn. Like, I don't just lose. But it was 5 minutes after closing.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes after closing.
Let's just say
the game was basically over anyway.
I was glad the next time I saw you, you took the angels out. That's why I continued to talk with you. I'm kidding. People, don't think I'm a jerk. I'm kidding. I promise.
But yeah, no. So I was able to create 75 angels or something in that sense. And then I actually took an extra turn after that one. So that's when the angels could attack. And the Patra player was like, hey, don't attack with the angels. This way I can get second place. I'm just like, yeah, sure, man, I'm not going to attack with the angels. That's fine. So I attacked everyone else with the angels. And then he was thinking, he's like, cool, I'm fine. And then I went off with a weird combo where it just drained his entire life totals. He was like, what happened? I was just like, you said to attack with the angels? I didn't attack with the angels. I kept my word. I kept my promise. Also, too, it's up on screen right now, the actual pub rule. I don't remember the number
Pub rule pi. Let's call this pub rule pi.
Legit. Well, no, it's a current pub rule up there. But Salt does transition over between games.
Like 45 or something.
Something like that. And the reason being is because the promises that you make, game 1, they're going to remember game 2 and game 3. They might not apply to game 2 and 3, but it's one that they'll remember, especially if you break those promises. They're going to be like, you know, like, hey, like, you know, you broke this promise here, or how many times have you had a game, RJ can definitely chime in and agree with this, is the fact of, like, you know,
Counting
like,
on my fingers.
I'm going to attack the person that won the last game first.
Every game I've ever played?
Legit.
Every game I've ever played. Really?
Much. And it's one of those things that I do the same thing because, hey, you won last game. I'm going to attack you as kind of you're a jerk for winning.
You're a jerk for winning.
And a side factor,
oh,
just
yeah.
like, I want to make sure that you get lower, this way you've got less chance of winning.
Second game I played with Lord Windgrace, I played an enchantment and an artifact, and the guy played the new Force card, Force of Vigor, and destroyed both of them on turn 1. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Fair. I screwed you over last game, so I'll let you do this. I don't care. I still won, but
it's also
no, that was the game I decked myself, but I still beat him.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where it's like, you know, that's also the suicide bomber thing I mentioned.
Yes.
It's the fact like you don't care if you win as long as they lose.
As long as they lose. It's I fly my plane into my opponent.
Into their face. Like I don't care if I win. As long as you lose. And
World War II style, baby.
He's also said that multiple times when we're playing. He's just like, you know, he's like, I don't care if I win. Aaron just has to lose.
Aaron needs to lose.
I don't care if I win.
He needs to lose.
It's fine, and I'm fine with that, and that's the reason why, like, you know, I'm expecting that from RJ. Like, in fact, if he actually sits down in the game and he doesn't target me first, I instantly think there's something wrong. I'm like,
yeah, RJ, you okay, man?
Like, legit, I'm like, if someone sits down next to you or whatever, and it's just like, cool, I'm gonna, like, you know, swamp into Soul Ring, into Signet, and toss on this, like, you know, Paradise Mantle, like, go. Like, at that point, guess what? They're the target.
Yeah. They only have, let's see, that's 5 mana sources on turn 2?
Yeah. Another thing about politics as well, imagine your board state, for instance. Another thing that a lot of people assume, they're like, oh, why are you attacking me? Or why are you doing this against me? Or something like that, or whatever. And the reason being is because if you've got the most dominating board state, you're the target. And it's okay to be the target, but you have to understand that you're the target. So it's kind of hard to say, hey, attack that guy if you've got the most scariest board. You get an Emrakul on the field, guess what? You're getting targeted just because it's a 13/13 in the air with trample. Something that will stop people from either playing Magic or makes things unfun. Void
playing against Aaron.
Playing against me, or Void Winterer.
Or playing against Aaron.
RJ personally hates that just because you have to think
I'm
about
lying. I love playing against Aaron.
I feel like you like being because you don't have to think about it as much. You're just like, oh, stack Aaron.
It's easy. I have a tiny brain. I have a small brain and tiny arms.
I don't think his players really throw it
I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex playing Magic the Gathering.
But yeah, think about your actual board state for the most part. If you've got the most threatening board state, you're probably going to be the target, and it's kind of hard to politic around that. If you have a weak board state, like, you know, let's say that you're short on mana or something in that sense or whatever, people aren't going to look at you, so it's you've got a little bit more political leeway in that sense to just say, like, hey, maybe we should take out this guy or whatever. They're like, you know what, I'm going to listen to you because you're not doing much of this game. Another thing, too, is the fact of right when the game starts, RJ does this stupid thing, which is hilarious and works so well in my benefit, where, like, you know, everyone's looking at their hands or everything in that sense or whatever, and people are kind of saying, like, you know, like, I'll keep her, I guess, or something in that sense or whatever. RJ does this thing where he'll look at his hand and he'd be like, this hand is amazing. This is perfect. I can do this and I can do that. And my God, this is great. He's giving that information freely to the whole table.
Do you know how many times I've showed my hand to my opponents? Just like, look at this. This is ridiculous. This is my hand right now. They're like, oh, you got anything you're going to do? Like, look at this. There's 5 lands. Look at the top of my library. A land. That's
a political tool that you also have to use as well. Luke does this fantastically. Kate does this fantastically. Well, they won't say anything. They'll just say, okay, I'm good. I kind of like doing this principle where I'll say, it's not great, but I guess I'll keep it. Like, how often have you heard me actually say that? Legit?
Yeah, a lot of times, and it's probably BS, but I play anyway.
I can guarantee you it's 90% BS.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you it's 90% BS.
I'm very honest when I play, because, I don't know, I feel like because people don't know if they should trust me or not. I guess, maybe at this point you guys do, but, like, I don't really lie, because it's just, I feel like that little bit of goofiness adds to the game.
Not only that, but I feel like your kamikaze's playstyle works because, like, I know that you're not really a threat until you've got something serious on the board to deal with, which is kind of good. That's why it's fine to be comical and goofy and everything, because I was like, I don't have to worry about him until he starts doing some serious stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when you go into the tank and start thinking first, like, more than, like, 2 seconds, I was like, okay, now I gotta focus on RJ. Versus me, it's kind of just like Did he just play a land? Oh my god, he played a land.
He played land. Oh no.
What is that?
Well, that's because you usually get mana screwed in Amanatu, and then or you don't get your colors. Do you have a lantern in that deck?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen you play it.
So that's basically kind of that's when it comes back to politics, everything in that sense. Now it's time to actually jump over to Last Call! Last Call!
Last call.
We're actually talk about our final thoughts and ask the simple question, do you think that you can actually change who you are as a player? And the actual play style that you actually have.
Totally, yeah. No, you can easily change. Well, I say easily. You can always change how you are.
Yeah.
As a person, as a player. Just, it takes time. It's not an easy thing. Because if you play, if you're me, it's going to take a bit to play well. It's going to take me a long time before I start playing the game properly. Nor do I really want to.
Yeah, it's also one of those things, too, the order that we actually kind of went in this, which is, just referring, Wallflower, Underdog, Suicide Bomber, Con Man, Pro Player. That's kind of the order, the hierarchy I kind of see it in, where that's what most people start off as the Wallflower. They're not really, know what they're doing, everything that's where they're just kind of... The best place is to stay quiet. This way you don't get attacked. Then they go to the Underdog where it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing, but I know these people are a little bit stronger than me, so I'm just going to try to do my best, but I don't know what happens. And then eventually it goes over to Suicide Bomber where it's like, you know what? That guy's just picking on me because I'm new. I'm just going to keep ramming into him until he stops picking on me.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you can transition into either the Con Man or the Pro Player at that point. Con Man, I feel like it's the easiest one just because... You need to be able to talk a lot. You need to be able to kind of...
Con Man is just... It takes a while to be good at it, but it's sort of the standard way of playing.
But it's definitely something that you can always change. It's definitely something that, you can always edit around, stuff in that sense. Also, too, just because we mentioned your name or your particular theory of, I'm this person, I can never switch over, don't assume that. It's one of those things, too, what's best with politics is... You can win at 200 life or a single life. As long as you have life in the game, you're still
one life isn't zero.
Yeah, you're still politicking. You're still actually going for it. I also want to mention too that one thing about Commander is the fact that just because you're actual dead doesn't mean that you're out of the game completely. You're still sitting at the table. You can still technically politic a little bit. Yes, it's not necessarily to your benefit, but at the very least, you can kind of pick a side.
My favorite kind of politics are the deathbed politics, where you're like, well, I'm dead. Who do I want to win?
It's one of those things that, even though you're out of it, your words can still be utilized to the point where you can actually influence the game itself. I've actually used the ability of the Fear of a Cyclonic Rift more than actually using the Cyclonic Rift itself.
I think that you've done that.
Yeah, even if I tutor for it, I might not even show it to anyone. I'll just mention or just keep up particular. I'm like, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 7 mana, look at that. Or even if someone has a board wipe and everyone knows they have a board wipe, just using the fear of the board wipe, you know what, this board's getting kind of crazy. I might want to do something. Actually, RJ, you did that beforehand. You were playing your soldier deck, and you were debating. You were just like, we're okay with the board state right now, or should I do something about that? And we're just like, well, it's one of those things that he used his words there to actually kind of inadvertently make people, so this way no one actually attacked him. Because if anyone attacks him, he's just going to wipe the board.
My favorite phrase is when I'm trying to gang up against one person with the rest of the table, I'll look at them and I'll say, don't play any creature spells this turn. Don't play any creature spells this turn.
I hate when he does that.
And a lot of times, I don't even board wipe on that next turn.
I hate when he does it so... It's the fear of it? Oh my god.
Honestly, I shouldn't say that. I do normally board wipe the moment that it becomes something I can do. It's until someone says, hey, please don't, wait a turn. Then I'll be like, okay, sure, I'll do that. Because when I'm trying to gang up on one person, I want the rest of the table to agree with me.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things, too, where, just like that scenario, who legitimately will say, hey, don't play a creature, hey, don't play a creature. It tells the whole table, I've got this in my hand. He could be bluffing. Because he's done it so many times in an actual game where he did have it.
I'm very honest. Like I said, I don't lie when I play because I feel like it adds an element to the game. That's some anxiety right there. That's some stress being put down on the table. Just like, this guy doesn't lie, and he just told me not to put a creature down.
Yeah.
I shouldn't put a creature down.
Exactly. And the cool thing about that play style of it is, if you're known for telling the truth all the time, when you do tell a lie, everyone assumes it's the truth anyway, so it kind of works out.
It can still create the opposite effect that you want. If I'm honest all the time and then I tell one lie, now no one's going to believe anything I say. because their trust was shattered.
Yeah.
So now they're just like, no, nothing you say is true.
Exactly. Also,
But
too,
then it plays again in my favor because now you don't believe anything I do, so I can be honest again.
I always say this thing where never tell a full lie, always tell a half lie.
Oh, yeah.
The point is, in which case, that don't tell big lies, always tell a half truth. Like saying, hey, does anyone have a board wipe, or can anyone deal with that? Knowing that you have a path to exile in your hand, ask the table anyway, just because it might get out a removal spell from someone else's hand. It's also one of those things that, when it comes to politics, always kind of think about, how is this affecting me? How is this going to affect my opponents? And can I deal with what their eventual rage is going to be?
Can you smell what the rock is cooking?
Basically. Like, you don't want to arbitrarily just put out a 2020 Merit Lodge just into the ether and assume no one's going to want to. Because if
Oh, I thought you were going to say just because you could. And I'm like, well, that's what I do for a living. And then I realized, oh, you're saying you don't want people to target you. But
exactly. Like, if you can't deal with someone targeting you, or you know that they have some way of getting rid of that, they're going to still remember the fact that you did it. They're going to still be angry about it. Like, you don't draw out an Ulamog and have someone milled or exile the top 10 cards of their library if you can't deal with them being angry at you for the rest of the game.
The rest of your life.
The rest of your life, a little bit.
Dude, they're going to be at your funeral, and they're going to stuff an Ulamog under your tongue. Just...
Now let's actually jump over to the clamp step where I say thank you,
Clean up, everybody, everywhere, clean up. Goblins, Aaron's gonna cut this part.
Now we actually move over to the clamp step where I actually say thank you so much for actually listening and watching this actual episode. And
thanks again, my little goblins. I will love you forever. Please subscribe, like, comment, share. Let your cat know, let your dog know, let your uncle know, let your boss know like I did. Hi, Dave. Nick, you actually might be listening to this, so yo, fist bump, my bro.
Yes, just fist bump your computer or your cell phone or wherever you're actually. Don't fist bump the mic.
Nobody heard it. It was a very gentle fist bump.
But yes, thank you. Definitely share the video. Definitely like the video. We're at 19-ish subscribers. Awesome for that. Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys in the next episode.